Hello and welcome to Watching Now, Daredevil Born Again finale. Yes, we are back. We had a week off. I'm sorry, guys, but we had a holiday, and that's just the way it is.
It's like that, and that's the way it is.
We had a holiday. We had a time to reflect, some of us, on this episode because I only watched it this morning. Sorry, right? But like I was on holiday, so I couldn't do this. We are going to talk about the finale of Daredevil Born Again. Do we want to call it a finale? It feels like a mid-season finale to me.
Which is, yeah, I mean, end of season one. If it doesn't really, it like I feel like a finale and the end of season feel like two separate things. It's like the last season of The Bear had an end of season, but didn't really have a finale because that was half a story.
Yeah,
It was end of part one.
exactly. It's exactly how it felt when I watched Fast X, knowing that there'll be a Fast X one, you know?
I got family.
No.
I didn't peg you for somebody who watched all of the Fast movies.
Look, they're a guilty pleasure, and I fucking love them.
You know what? I'm not gonna tell. I don't know anything about the movie.
I didn't think
Neither
you
do
would.
I.
I just know that there's cars, and at one point they go to space, I guess.
Yes, they do. Moving past that, we have our current crew, which is Katie
Hello.
and Tom.
Ew.
And unfortunately, we've got no Lily today because she has lost her voice.
She's looking for it.
Yeah,
Maybe one day she'll find it.
sometimes.
It's in the Maldives.
It's in the Maldives.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I thought that was what you said, but I genuinely couldn't process it properly. I was like, what?
Okay. It's in the Maldives.
I was going to say
Dives.
the Maldives is how I've always heard it pronounced.
I don't know, man. Potato, potato.
Okay, let's go on to our non-spoiler review.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I think in a vacuum, it was pretty good. I liked the action. I liked the tone. I liked the general vibe. And there was one bit near the end where I was like, "God damn, goddamn." I think what lets it down is when I put in context of the whole season, where it just doesn't feel sort of right, like in these 9 episodes. Like this doesn't fit. Mostly it fits with like episode 8, but that's pretty much it. But overall, I just did still enjoy it.
Well, again, it's been a week since I watched it, so most of my notes come off of literally just having finished the episode. So a week ago, me thought that 90% of the episode was really, really great. And then there was about 10% that I didn't like, and they were pretty much all editing / stylistic choices in the like formatting of how they did the show. And not a spoiler, but just like a general sort of thought, I've not been huge on a lot of the needle drops in this season. There's something about the use of like, they've been using a lot of like soundtracky kind of music, which I've just not vibed with very much. It feels really off-putting to me. Yeah, the last 5 minutes and the way that they put that together and everything I didn't like that a whole lot. And some of the writing was a little bit but for the most part, it did a lot of stuff that I wanted it to do. It's just I wasn't huge on all of the execution. I think it's probably the best way to put it.
Let me say this, right? This episode suffers from like 70% of this season's problem with frenetic pacing. And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to like set up the next season by stuffing as much resolution crap and new setup into the same episode. I thought there was a bunch of resolutions that happened too quickly and a bunch of stuff that they set up too quickly. Having said that, some really good like crowd pleasing moments in this episode, which like you gotta pop off for, right? You just gotta pop off for.
Hooray! And you know, I don't throw that word around lightly.
It's very mixed. It's a very mixed episode for me. But like I didn't come out of it frowning. I came out of it like smiling.
Mm.
But then when you reflect on what this, it's a limited series
Mm.
that they've broken up into into yearly chunks, and that pisses me off.
I kind of wish we had an episode, 2 episodes more, and they stretched just a couple of things out a little bit further, gave a bit more time to some of the background characters that we've not really cared that much about in the meantime. Because we have to remember the original Daredevil series was 13 episodes a season.
And they
You
were
know,
all 55 minutes long,
yeah,
most of them. Yeah.
they had a lot of good stuff in there.
Yep.
And they gave a lot of time to a lot of people that they wanted us to care about, and we haven't had that time with basically anyone that we haven't already known.
You mean you
Which
don't
is-
like Cherry?
You shut your filthy mouth!
Sorry,
The very
there's
fact
something-
that I thought his name was Cherry for this long means that I didn't care about him enough to know his name.
I mean, we'll talk about, I think, something very specific to do, to do with Cherry that happened right at the end of the episode.
Oh God, yeah.
He's the linchpin.
Oh dear.
He's
I
good
think
at this.
he.
I'm good at this.
Okay,
You
let's.
know what? What does he do? He's just there.
He goes around and looks under beds.
He drinks in bars.
That is just judgmental. He's just judgy.
Yeah. You don't do things my way, therefore I'm gonna look at you judgmentally and then walk out the room.
Oh man. Anyway, let's go on to the spoilery bits so we can talk about Cherry. Jerry.
It's Cherry.
Fuck's sake! I still don't know his name.
It's Cherry.
Spoilers.
I did hear you. I was like, no, his name is Cherry.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I called him for Jerry for so long. That it just stuck in my head that it was his real name still, even though you corrected me last time. Okay, where do you want to start? Because there's a fucking load in this episode.
My notes are all over the place. I started with Karen because Karen's back, and I have been saying for multiple episodes that I needed Karen back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very glad to see her, and I think she added something very important, which is context for Matt as a character that we kind of haven't had the entire season, because we've had nobody that really comes from Matt's past and actually understands him and likes him, who actually knows him fully and likes him for it, which is the main part, because, you know, for once again, Cherry's just sort of there, and he happens to know that he's Daredevil, and he has done nothing but kind of judge him for that fact the entire time.
Cherry wasn't even really in this episode.
No.
He just turns up at Josie's bar at the end. Matt's army, the most pathetic looking army that you've ever seen in your life. A couple of good police officers, an ex-police officer, and Cherry's ex-partner, and Josie behind the bar serving drinks.
Thank God.
Oh, thank God. We all need drinks at this time. But staying on Karen.
I love Karen, as I was saying before we started recording. And because Lily's not here, I don't have to listen to her say that she hates Karen so very, very much.
I don't like her.
Huh? You don't like
That's
her?
right, I don't like her. I never liked her from the get-go.
Which I still respect. But I, you know, I feel like Karen does such an important thing for making Matt make more sense to me. And is probably the only person that can look at Matt and be like, and they do actually do it in the episode, which I was very glad for. Look at him and be like, you know, knew him and knew Foggy really well. So to put like the memory of Foggy back into sort of context for Matt and everything, so where she can be like, you know, Foggy knew you, he knew you, all the parts of you. That genuinely did make me cry just a little bit. I was like, I think somebody needed to say that to him for a long time. I think it put into context for me just how isolated Matt has been the entire season, despite the fact that he's had a bunch of people around him, which has been, I don't think, intentional, but like oddly kind of a nice feature that has sort of appeared. Where it's like I don't think it was entirely intentional for him to feel quite as isolated as I think he does in the season.
I'm so lonely, so lonely.
But then having him put back into context with Karen and the fact that she can bring the memory of Foggy back in to him, and like he can actually trust that piece of information as opposed to people being like, you know, giving vague notions of Foggy but nobody really knowing him like Matt did or like Karen did. I was just glad of the scene.
Whilst I agree, I enjoyed just them finally acknowledging a bunch of stuff to do with Foggy and Matt's past, and Karen coming in to sort of like give him an anchor point emotionally. I think that's also like when I said in context of the season as a whole, it annoys me a little bit because it's like I kind of wish this was like throughout. Like it doesn't have to be with Karen, but like even just like small moments where like maybe Matt reflects or any sort of this stuff because it does feel like it comes a bit out of nowhere.
I think they are in there, but I think I was more able to notice them just because I know Foggy more than you do.
Yeah, probably that. Look, I'm not going to deny that's probably a factor that I
And
don't really
and I'm not saying that I feel like that is as like a mark against the season overall that they don't have enough of context of who Foggy was as a person for new watchers. So that the stuff that like is actually quite not even subtextual, but like more in the performance that Charlie is giving us. In some of the smaller moments, I can read those and be like, oh, I can see that this is about Foggy in this moment and everything, but which I don't think would be obvious to somebody who hasn't got that context.
Which is why I think like I would have, even if they just dropped a bit more context in like episode 1 or episode 2, to like sort of like for someone like me who hasn't experienced the fucking 3 seasons and specials and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I probably didn't hit as hard because again I haven't seen all the other stuff, but it's in that of just taking this season by itself, it just felt like I should have cared, but then I didn't really care that much.
I fair.
I mean, I liked the Heather diss at the start. That was funny.
I've got a lot of notes about how happy I am that Heather has actually gone down the full bad guy route.
Yeah, I still think she sucks, but I
Oh
liked
yeah, she
that.
does, but at least now she's got something that's vaguely interesting about her.
Yeah, vaguely, but yeah, but I liked the way that he called out for Karen as he
Fucking
woke up,
hilarious.
and I loved the look on her face when he did that. And Kirsten's like, "They were friends for ages. Don't worry about it, you know."
It's just the drugs.
Yeah,
Just the
Fine.
drugs.
I'm on drugs!
look, I have done with a bit of the. We know that Matt and Karen don't work. Stop trying to shoehorn
Yeah,
in a little bit
that's
of
fair. I'm not huge on that either myself.
and shoehorn a bit of the romance into it, and I especially do not want a fucking love triangle between Frank and Matt and Karen. That does not work to me for me.
No, but I think the three of them kind of works. I'm just saying there was some tension in that scene.
So do you want the start of episode 2 just to be like a 3-way? Is that what you're wanting?
Hey, I think that a lot of things can be solved with polyamory. It's all I'm saying.
Is that what you want? Give it to me! Give me what I want!
Devil's three-way.
It's Karen and her 2 boyfriends.
All right, bet. Fuck it, why not?
I say this as somebody who truly does not ship Matt and Karen at all. I'm much more. I do think that Karen has a better, like, a more interesting romantic relationship with Frank. I think that's much more of an interesting thing going on. But I'm just saying, there was a tension.
Yeah, Matt's a bit creepy listening to people's heartbeats all the time when he thinks people fancy each other. It's pretty creepy.
Yeah. But it was just, I just appreciate the fact that he doesn't have to, essentially, dare I say, mask the fact that he is able to do that. It was oddly freeing to have somebody be like, I know you're doing this.
Stop being a fucking weirdo.
I honestly think it does set, like, even if I feel like it just, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere so much as I think it sets up the relationship that like these three people kind of have to each other. In that, like, there's like still some old feelings around. In that, like, Karen still feels something for Matt, and she still feels something for Frank, and that was more a point to get across to the audience that like there's history between these three people that's very specific, and has come from like earlier stuff. I feel like that to me is what that felt like more than anything else. I really hope that they don't push it more in the next season. I will be so sad about it otherwise. I don't want Matt to be with anybody. He's not well.
Anything can be cured with a good cup of coffee, isn't that right?
And some oat milk.
That's a reference I'm missing, I think.
It happened in the episode, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's been like a week and a half.
Matt asked for oat milk. That's it in his coffee.
Frank yelled about coffee at least twice.
The doctor says 1 cup of coffee a day can't hurt.
Let's go to Frank and Frank's reappearance as not Hobo Frank.
He got a haircut for Karen.
He pretty much did, right?
I mean, that's just contextual. I mean, you could. He said it was for Matt, but it was for Karen. It was just, I don't know. I liked that scene a lot. Actually, I have the in my notes. I very much enjoyed that entire scene in Matt's apartment.
Prior to the fight scene, or just
both the fight and the bit beforehand. I think it's just very fun when those two actors get to be in a room together and they just start trading verbal jabs. Comes in, yells at him for not having coffee, says his ass is hanging out. Matt flips him off. It was just fun, but it was that line specifically about like where he was like, "I got a call to say to come help you," and I was like, "That was Karen." I knew it immediately. I was like, "There's nobody else that Frank would turn up to Matt's apartment for other than Karen." I knew she was appearing imminently, but it was also just nice to see that like as much as Frank and Matt get on each other's tits like instantly because they've got completely like opposing views of the world. The moment the grenade went off, Frank didn't even hesitate. He jumped off the side of that building knowing that Matt was going to catch him. That was just nice. I like that a lot.
That's true love.
It is. It's true love.
I can see your point now earlier of like it's just Karen and her two boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they just kind of shove Karen to the side a little bit sometimes.
Hey.
Sometimes you just need to hug your bro.
Sometimes it's I've said this before, not on this podcast, but just generally speaking, something that will never fail to make me laugh is when like hypermasculinity between like men, especially when they're like screaming in each other's faces, and it gets to the point where it just circles right back down to being homoerotic. And it's like, come on, guys.
Who do you think's Little Spoon?
Matt.
Frank.
Really?
100%.
You think Frank needs to be held?
Yeah.
I could see that too.
I mean,
Maybe
they
they
both got
switch.
trauma enough to be Little Spoon, but I'm calling Frank.
I like it.
Tom, what did you
compensating.
think about the action scene?
I think it was one of the better ones that they've done. I still think there's too many cuts in just how they do fights this season in general.
Yeah.
But I think if from what I remember, this was like the one I found least offensive. It could also be because like how it was more in the dark. So like if they did do lots of like in your face cuts, you didn't notice it as much. I did like seeing all those Punisher cop wannabes get their shit kicked in because like they're all dicks. And like it was cool to see the final guy that they left at the end. Like how I think it was revealed that he was the one who killed Hector.
Yes.
Yeah, because of like the bullets and everything. So yeah, I think it wasn't the best thing I've seen, but in compared to the rest of the show, it was probably the best group fight scene they've done.
I don't think I had a moment where I was like, good lord. It wasn't like episode 7 where I was like, Christ alive, can you leave a shot
stop.
longer than half a second, please?
Yeah.
I didn't have like I didn't like consciously sit there and go, oh, this is cutting around a bit too much. It's probably still a bit unclear, because it wouldn't surprise me. But I do think it was one of the better ones.
I mean, I liked the dueling methodologies of kill, don't kill. Please don't kill Frank. Nah, wait, his face is blown off. Um, I liked that bit. I I really, unfortunately, I really didn't like the resolution to finding Hector Ayala's killer by just finding a bullet on the floor and saying, "Oh, this was you. Okay, cool." I didn't like that. It was too quick of a happenstance type thing. It just like, oh, we need to tie this up. We need to tie up Hector's murder. Let's just use one of these cops. And it was always going to be one of those cops. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't like the way it was revealed. There's a lot of fucking bullets on the floor, and you just choose that guy because what? Why? Because he was using
Pretty
the same
eyes.
outfit. He was wearing the same outfit because he was wearing a Punisher outfit. He was
From
using in his job the bullet that the type of bullet that killed someone before it was legal for him to do it.
Hey,
It
man, the part of the reason that Fisk hired them is because he knew he would. They were already doing that shit, and now he just gave them the sort of
yeah, I
Legal
supposedly.
freedom.
That doesn't mean any sense, by the way. Just being like, I'm the man. I've decided that this is how the law works now. I'm like, you do still live in a country. There's like a federal system in place, but
Yeah, but they're in America, so do they really obey the federal system?
anyway,
Right.
like yeah, it was too quick for me anyway.
somebody
That's what she
told
said.
me recently. Somebody told me recently that that guy is apparently like quite a well-known character in the comics, and that they've kind of cheapened him quite a lot, like a character that is quite beloved in the comics, like really, really, it's like interesting. I don't know his name, but I was like,
I don't
that's
know his name
news
in
to
this.
me because like I thought he was just some guy.
Yeah,
Which would
Some
explain
dude.
why, if people who know who he is and that's all they've done for him, why they would be annoyed.
what's his name in this?
I haven't the foggiest.
Ha,
Eh,
yeah,
I miss Foggy.
were you one of the ones who thought that?
I'm still on my bullshit. He'll be back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you the one thinking, oh, he's gonna show up at the end. He's gonna show up at the
It's
end.
in my notes. Well, here's the thing.
Oh,
I wasn't sure if he was going to, but I was like, there was a part of me when I was like, mid-credit sequence? Hello? To me? Foggy and Witzek? And then I was like, no, it's just Frank in a fucking cage. And I'm like, oh, fine. But I still think that there's enough in the story proper to set up Foggy still being alive. Or Foggy being in Witzek.
are we
I
drinking
think
that
it's. I think
copium
it's.
again?
Hey, otherwise, I think they would have specifically said he's dead by now, and they've been very cagey about it. And we
Yeah.
know that Eldon Henson is in the next season, so why couldn't he just be alive?
Oh shit. Here we go again.
I've when I heard the directors not outwardly confirm that he's dead, I was like, for fuck's sake. Like I kind of want him to be dead, but I don't want him to be dead, but I kind of want him to be dead at the same time.
Here is my other thing, and because I do want Foggy to come back, but mostly because I love the character. But if I think about it within a story setting, I can also understand if they decide not to do that. Like, I think that there's enough gravity put behind the situation. Like, at this point, now we're at the end of the season, I can see why they decided to kill him in the beginning, because it really does set Matt on a very interesting path, without what is, by all accounts, his moral compass. But I want him back. I think it would also be really interesting to watch him be pissed at him for lying, you know? Because I don't think he'd take it very well. Which would be very on brand for him, because it would be massively hypocritical, because that's exactly what Matt did to Foggy at the end in season 3.
But isn't Matt just a walking contradiction?
Yes, he is. That's the point. That's why I'm like, that would
Yeah.
be very on brand for him. He'd be really mad about it, and then it'd be like, dude, you did this yourself. In fact, you were a real dick about it.
You're such a dick!
So we all agree that we kind of liked the fight and the pun and the Frank and thing, right? So let's talk about the lead up to that, because that was fucking dumb, right?
You're gonna have to remind me of
I'm
how it
gonna walk you
specifically.
there. I'm gonna walk you there.
Because I remember him being in hospital, and then that's about as
Right. So he's in hospital,
yeah.
and Fisk decides to tell Buck to go and kill him because a dead hero is better than a live vigilante.
A dead hero is better than a live vigilante.
Yeah,
Right. And I do think that that is the only move that he had at that point.
that's absolutely correct. And Buck going to kill him in under the preface of dying from hero injuries was really smart. Then the blackout happens, Matt
Then-
escapes,
all
and
right,
then you go,
no, you're right.
we may as well just kill him then. Just kill
No,
him.
you're right.
Let's just abandon that
They
idea
really
altogether.
just threw that idea out the window
Yeah.
immediately. They were like, fuck it, let's just blow up his apartment. I don't know.
Yeah, but plan A, fuck. Let's go plan B. Just blow
it's
him
like-
up. What the
It's
fuck?
like plan A is like the scalpel, and it was like, oh, very delicate. As soon as it goes, fuck. Where's the grenade
Pulls out the
launchers?
gun.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Send the strike team, just throw the grenades, kill everybody. I don't care anymore.
Fire everything!
He had lost it at that point. He was like, fuck it, we're putting the entire city on military lockdown.
Fuck it, we ball.
No, you're right, that was dumb. I didn't write that down, but I feel like I had that thought where I was like, okay, it's a bit of an escalation.
Something that I vividly remember is like when after like Matt like just like jaunts out of there, and then you see Buck exit his room. I thought he stabbed himself with a needle because I don't think he put like the cap back on. So I'm just like, he's put it in his pocket. I'm like, dude,
No,
you're just gonna
Buck,
fucking
you have to
stab
be
yourself.
careful. That's how you get Hep C.
Yeah, that he was not practicing right needle safety. I'm like, my guy, like, what are you doing putting an exposed needle in your jacket? That's just gonna stab you.
There was plan A, and then it escalated to plan Z pretty quickly.
Immediately, yeah, no, you're right there. I also I have enjoyed all of the. There's been some silly art of the sort of reverse shot of Matt leaving the hospital because it's like
ass full out.
Is his ass actually just full out, or is he wearing underwear?
I'm gonna
Ass full out,
go
I'm
on from.
guessing.
I'm gonna say his ass was out.
It'd be funny that way. You managed to get the entire way home ass wholly
I was gonna
out.
say like, because how far away is he hospital from his apartment? Which means
Great question.
Which means he
How do you even get
somehow-
there?
Yeah, he's injured. He can't do all the flippy dips and shit.
Mm-hmm.
How did he get from the hospital to the apartment with no one questioning? Oh yeah, that's just a random hospital guy. You would have thought that'd be like the prime spot for like the cops to just come be like, haha, bang.
It's a blackout. Lots of riots going on, and people to frame to be a vigilante.
So, you guys haven't seen In the Heights, have you?
No.
It's just when the blackout happened. There's a song. There's a pretty big. It's like the end of Act One break in the Heights. There's a massive blackout that hits New York in the height of summer. So the moment the blackout hit, there's a song literally called Blackout. I won't sing it now because I don't know all the words and I don't know my Spanish isn't that good. We're moving on.
Yeah, and also, right, why did Matt think it was a great idea after being almost assassinated to just go
straight home?
home? Yeah,
Yeah.
just go home. Let's just go home.
To be fair, he did need clothes, and I feel like there was no other way he was going to get that. But it was very funny that he walked in the door and just sat on the couch, like,
Yeah.
okay, buddy,
Arse straight out as well. Like,
arse out.
yeah.
Frank's yelling at him because he doesn't have coffee.
Mm-hmm.
They have some fun banter, which I enjoyed massively. I just like their relationship. I like just watching them like scream at each other when Frank just wouldn't stop killing people. I did cheer also when they blew up the apartment because I fucking hated that place. There's something about it that felt, and I feel like again it was like maybe it was intentional, but there was something so void of personality about it. Matt's original apartment in the Netflix series had such character to it. Because you had the massive billboard outside, because that's the reason he ended up getting it for the cheap price it was, because there was a big billboard, like video screen billboard that was constantly going in through the windows. And it was bare bones, and there was brick everywhere, and all these bits and pieces. There was just something nice about it, despite the fact that it was like, by all accounts, a really badly furnished apartment. there was character to it. I hated that fucking place. I'm glad it's gone.
It was very millennial styled,
Yeah,
of like minimalist.
it's just not my favorite.
Not your favorite.
Not my favorite.
Do you want to talk about Commissioner?
Well, I want to talk about the end bit, but you can't really talk about the end bit of the first bit. So we'll start the bit. I get what they were trying to do with the commissioner, where he was like, he's trying to fight against Fisk, just like through any means he can. And I did like how over the little bits we've gotten of him in this season, he gets slowly stripped further and further of all his power. And like you can see that just even with the performances between him and Fisk. It's another case of like I wish we just got it a bit more though. So for this final bit to hit harder, because he kind of only really popped up a handful of times, which it's enough for it to work and it still had an impact. But I wish there was more, because that ending bit where his skull gets fucking crushed, kind of gnarly.
Kind of. It was,
Yeah, just
it was. Then I say this as somebody who, the original season the show had some fucking gnarly scenes. That was the gnarliest we've ever gone.
yeah, it was pretty gross.
There's a pretty famous sequence in the first season of the original series where Fisk kills a guy by slamming his head into a car door repeatedly.
Oof.
And it's meant to show, Fisk's brutality. It's like the first time we see that. And that is pretty intense, but that was also in the dark.
Yeah.
This was like under a
full
spotlight.
on, like medium close up. And they're like, this man's head is going to explode.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for to just go squish, just flatten. But I feel like the ripping of this. Ugh.
It was the build up to it as well that I actually thought was really, because it's not just like he's obviously huge and very, very strong, but he's not supernaturally strong. He's just built like fucking brick shit house.
Yeah.
So it was the build up of like watching him basically go purple from under all the pressure. And then, and you knowing that that's going to break at some point, but not exactly knowing how that's going to look. And it's just like, ugh. It was
How it just
brutal.
slips and just goes.
It looked like one of those death scenes that you see from Joel when in The Last of Us.
Oh,
when
yeah.
when the bloater rips his face off. Yeah. It was cool.
It was awesome.
It was pretty cool, right? And the audacity of doing it in front of a room of freaking police officers. I know it's a handpicked for the police officers, but like he outs himself. I'm straight up murdering your boss, guys. I'm straight up murdering him. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing, because you're mine now. You're my loyal.
It is very interesting because it really solidifies how complicit he's made them all in his stuff, and the fact that you get to see like a range of people, in that there are some people who are like, I'm just trying to protect myself, basically. That's why they've decided to continue doing it. But that, I think, is the most realistic example of why policing, if we're going to use a real world parallel here, is corrupt in America, in that, by all accounts, the ones that are considered good will still go along with a lot of very fucked up shit because they think, well, I can't speak out about this because what will it do to me? So the idea is like the only good
Very
cops are the ones
self-serving.
that are the ones that quit or
Or
fired.
join Josie's army.
Yeah. The three cops that joined Jesse's army.
The three cops and a detective.
Yeah.
The detective that we did mention that we liked. She to be fair.
I've totally forgotten her name, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Every time I see her, she reminds me of the
Angie.
detective.
Angie Kim. Yeah.
She always reminds me of the detective in the Spider-Man games. The one that is constantly on the
Yuri.
phone with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I love. She's a great character.
going off the whole people saving their own skin, his campaign manager.
Oh,
Yes,
Sheila.
I think that was oof.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me because she's been with Fisk this entire time, so it's like I don't think she would betray him.
But I
like
also don't think it's an ideological
no,
position she's taking. She's doing that out of fear.
yeah,
She's
which
like, I've
because
buried myself too deep here, and this is the only way I'm going to keep myself alive. It's a very self-serving position.
yeah, that's why like after you mentioned we talk about like the cops doing it to say
Yeah.
that's like she's like another pretty extreme version because she's like now just like being a whistleblower essentially for anyone who trusts her
Yeah.
because in his circle she does seem the most trustworthy and they'll tell her things. So I would assume,
Because she's the most reasonable.
yeah. So I would assume like that's probably how he's going to weed out all of his naysayers in his cabinet essentially. So maybe next season there's more head crushing.
I mean, it was nice of Fisk to give her a warning by saying that she was responsible to sending everybody home who wasn't loyal.
I do think that is an interesting point because Fisk isn't. He's not. He's not a mass murderer. He's just a. He's a. I mean, he's not even just a businessman. He's just a ruthless guy, but he's also not the guy who's going to go immediately to.
Mardar.
Well, active genocide was really the thing.
Ah,
Like over. I mean, but he would get there at that point, I think. But I don't think it's like I don't think it's going to be his first instinct, and I don't think he'd do it just for the love of the love of the game. You know,
the love of the game.
he's going to do it if it serves a specific purpose to him.
Why, Dada? Why?
This is business.
Which killing all the people, all the naysayers in this cabinet doesn't really do that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Especially if
Very
they were
fair.
frightened enough to want to try and leave.
I think that brings me to the dichotomy that is,
Ooh, fancy word.
I know, and I think I'm using it right this time, the BB report, which is very small in this episode, sure, but in the last episode, she did her utmost to show everybody that she's on the side of Mr. Daniel Blake and the smarminess of the Fisk administration. Yet every single BB report is against him. Literally every single one. She's trying to worm her way into the administration, but every single report that she slants is against Fisk. It doesn't seem smart.
It is another, I think, is a very good example of another reason why I just don't think it as a thing it has worked really in this season for me. Because you're right, I hadn't actually considered it from that perspective, but you're absolutely right. Every single person has been like a detractor, basically. I mean, there's been a couple of people who are like, oh, I don't know, but to give like a there was a variety of voices, but she's still showing a variety. She's not acting as a propaganda mouthpiece, despite the fact that she was kind of setting herself up to be that.
And that, like in the montage of Matt's army that's coming forward, that it's everybody in the BB report that's been basically showed up in that montage, and I'm like,
I hated that last 5 minutes. Everything after Fisk ended his broadcast, I was like, this is unnecessary. I don't think we needed any of this. I think it would have been a stronger ending if it had been Fisk basically being like, I can't remember exactly how he ended it, but that last line that he delivers directly down the barrel.
I love New York, something like that.
I live in Brooklyn, but I love New York.
Yeah, where I feel like that would have been a really strong, like, very stark point to end the season. I understand what they did afterwards, because that was when they set up Matt's little fucking Ponzi-ass army.
Featuring Cherry.
Featuring Cherry. Don't worry, everybody, we've got Cherry.
Yeah.
Guys, we're safe. Cherry's here. He's gonna go into a building and he's gonna find some evidence.
The only person in that room I trust to actually get anything done is Karen. Karen's killed multiple people.
I trust Josie to serve good drinks.
I feel like Josie could take down a couple of people as well, to be fair. But, like, Karen has canonically killed multiple people.
Also in that montage was the niece Ayala, very briefly, setting up that she's probably going to play a part.
She'd be white tiring all over the place in the next one, I think.
Yeah.
She's very
And
young.
what would have been annoying, but also would have popped off, would have been the original Defenders, or at least one of
Yeah,
them.
here's the thing. I think it's very much setting up the idea that like we could get the Defenders back next season, and
Hmm.
I would love to see Jessica Jones again because and I love. Don't get me wrong. I think all four of them together are great, but the thing I liked about the most about the Defenders, which was a very mixed bag as far as like a season of television goes. I loved Matt and Jessica's relationship. They became very sibling-like very, very quickly, and I just really enjoyed. It was like, ah, they're besties, like immediately, and then they basically never interacted again. And I was always really disappointed about it. But yeah, I always wanted more of those two. It's interesting. Speaking of the Spider-Man games that I mentioned before, I actually think that the setup to this feels extremely comic booky in a way that Daredevil has never felt before, and I can't tell if I'm okay with that or not. But it's the way it is. But like very specifically, it feels like the end of a Spider-Man game. That like the last like a few hours where like the entire city's gone to shit, and you're just like swinging around going, "Oh God, the whole city's on fire! What the fuck?" Which did make me go, I know we won't, but it did make me want to see Spider-Man in like the next season because we already know he's got a relationship with like in other media that they Spider-Man and Fisk have like an adversarial relationship as well as Daredevil, and we already know that they know each other.
Well, apparently, like the Spider-Man like things motif was in the episode, according to the director. So like maybe they're trying to do something with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I
They
mean, because if we
they
can't get
don't know
Fisk,
each other anymore.
I suppose they don't know. It's true, but they can know each other again. Yeah, I just feel like the setup was there, and if supposedly there's like a bunch of rights issues with Fisk turning up in movies, that doesn't hopefully
Does-
stop Spider-Man turning up in TV shows.
Yeah,
She says touching wood. I don't know the ins and outs of Tom
IP
Holland's
war.
contract.
The ending was cool in theory, but it was the sort of like a blue ball where it's like, oh, we're gonna show you something really cool, and then yeah, it's just like fucking no one's there, just random
It
cops
just
and
doesn't
shit.
hit the way you want it to.
No, especially like
And then there's
after
that long ass shot of him through the window, and he's just standing there. And I feel like that's the worst that Matt's suit has ever looked. I'm like, you look kind of dumb. I'm just gonna say it. Like, you look
It-
very silly.
it's just the way he was standing, just like
I
the
think
straight,
it's very
the straight
much
arms,
like
just
man, man emoji.
But it's like he's got like stage fright. Like there's lots more people here than I thought, but it's no one I know.
My
So I'm
threw
gonna...
up.
Karen, I need bucket. I'm going to throw up.
I threw up.
I threw up.
Oh, God.
I don't know. There's just
Opens the door. Karen, I threw up.
It's just something about the silhouette of him through the window just didn't hit, He didn't look imposing. He just looked like some fucking
Like
guy.
so I'm like, oh, and I threw up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every day I miss the like proper little the boxer fit that he had both in season 1 and season 3 with the black and the ropes around his face. I just think it's the coolest he looks, even though it doesn't make him look like a devil. I don't care. It just looks cooler.
And he doesn't look like he threw up.
One eternity later.
My point about Heather, because I wasn't here last week, but I did put it in my notes. Thank you for giving me the props on the the whole decks of it all, because I watched the episode. You're so welcome. I was like, I need to know if they mentioned all of my points.
I tried.
In my notes I was like, I think it's very interesting that they're pushing Heather down a path that looks like they're setting him up to be like very antithesis to him, and I was really hoping they continued in that direction to make her actually kind of a villain, as opposed to just sort of kind of flip-flopping, because I feel like that would be the most boring thing possible if she was like, oh, but it turns out that my boyfriend is the one who was in the devil mask, and actually that's okay.
After I
kind of
just shit talked vigilantes for the past how many episodes?
I was just glad because I feel like this is the first time we've seen something that's actively like something about her as opposed to something that is a reflection of Fisk or a reflection of Matt. This is like something that is actually kind of fundamental to who her character is, and who her character is somebody who desperately thinks that that vigilantes are and has reason to think that vigilantes period are bad news. I don't think her logic is sound. I think it's like completely
her
fucked.
logic don't track.
But
I am so confused right now.
if you're going to lean that hard into fascism, that's where that there's your setup already. She's already leaning into the sort of all or nothing mindset, and then Fisk is like, "I've made you the czar of mental health."
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not the word he used, but I think it's basically what he did.
essentially. Did he just do it just to sort of like shit talk Matt a bit, or like get under Matt's skin?
I mean, I don't know. I do think maybe it was a little bit of that, but I think it's interesting. It's less about Fisk, but more interesting that Heather is so willing to jump in on it.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, yeah, my my note just says, "Girl supports fascism. She's finally interesting." Like she very much walked into that office and went, "I'm going to take part in a fascist regime today, and I'm going to feel good about it."
She had like a split second when he proposed the idea, and she's like, "Oh, do I want a bit? Yeah, nah, fuck it, let's go."
Give me the power. Don't get me wrong. I still think that she's not a very well drawn character, but I do think this is the most interesting step that they've made with her as a person. It also,
Yes.
I feel like we've gotten to a point where when she left that hospital room, that was essentially them breaking up, right? Because there's no way that they're still together at this point, right?
I'm surprised that Matt wasn't done with her shit, but she was definitely done with Matt's shit
Yeah.
by the end of that hospital thing. It's like, stop bad mouthing Fisk, you fucking idiot. This was basically what she was saying.
What's really driving him?
That fool better watch his mouth.
He better watch more than that.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that they leaned into that. I just went, right, I somehow think that relationship isn't going to survive, especially as Matt thought that she was Karen at first when he woke up, which utterly diabolical. Because on what level do you think that was just him, like, actually out of it? And at what point was he just like, I'm going to blow my relationship up. This will be the quickest way to do that.
I think the split is 90 to 10. 90% he was just drugged off his balls.
And a
The other
little
10's
bit like, I'm going to blow my relationship up.
Yeah, like
I don't
he's
want
like,
to be here
oh,
anymore.
like, who read from a train wreck? Let's go.
I kind of like how they're... Again, it was one of those things where it was like, here's the parallel between Fisk and Matt. Fisk has managed to regain Vanessa's trust to the point that they're like fully a team again, and then Matt has gone completely the other direction and they're both becoming more themselves, and I mean, in Matt's way, that has pushed away the woman he supposedly loves.
Nah.
Who loves him, though, that we know that is a true, in fact. But in Fisk becoming more himself, that has brought Vanessa back to him. There's something so... there's something so about... about the way that they won't stop, like, wearing white and red to representing that painting that is, like, so representative of their entire relationship, where they're like, I'm the canvas, you're the blood, and we're going to keep wearing these outfits. It's just, it's so camp, and, like, and it's like, that is drag, you know?
I think Heather was wearing quite a bit of white as well, so does she want to be a new canvas?
I don't know. I think that...
I don't know.
I don't know about that one. It's just very specifically with Fisk and
Vanessa.
As they lean in more into their thing, they're very much like, she's wearing red, he's wearing white, and I did enjoy that so much.
Red Hook.
The Freeport.
It's a Freeport. That was the whole thing.
Do you know what's so funny about that? I watched that and I was like, oh, I've never heard of a Freeport before. That feels like very like. That's like quite the contrivance, I guess, you know, like a really specific get out of jail free card for Foggy's client and all that sort of stuff, which is, I mean, I understand why he was like, well, I've already won, you know, and I think it does a very good job of showing why Vanessa was like, well, I need to take out this, you know, Foggy needs to go.
Yeah.
It also, that opening sequence with Dex in the so sad. Dex is such an interesting character. Like, he's really pathetic at times.
He was like drugged out of his eyeballs as
But
well.
this is the thing about him. He's so frightening when he's like got a mission. But truthfully, he's also just really lost as a guy. He's always been somebody who needs guidance, which is why I was like, it doesn't make any fucking sense that he would just go and kill Foggy on his own. He was manipulated into it for the most part. I'm not saying that he's not completely he's completely responsible for all of his own actions, obviously. But it made me feel a little bad for him in that scene where she was like, I'm gonna get you out of here. I'll make sure it all goes away. You know, all of this stuff, and he's there like, Fisk is always gonna be around, blah, blah, blah. That scene very specifically made me hate Vanessa so much.
Oh yeah, what a bitch.
You suck!
I felt sorry for him. We didn't get enough Dex after such a good Dex episode last week. We didn't get enough Dex this week.
One of the many things that I'm hoping for more of in season 2 is much more Dex. Because, yeah, I didn't get a chance to say it for the last episode. I would have spent most of the episode, if I had been there, talking about how happy I was that we had, like, Dex the whole way through.
Speaking of stuff that we'll probably see more of, Frank just murdering like cops by himself.
Oh yeah, I do have that as a note. I very much enjoyed that. Made me very happy.
I liked like half after like he murdered like a bunch of them. They time like, hey man, we really just want to work together. And Frank's just like, nah, you guys are
clowns.
you guys are assholes. Like you're dumbasses. Get fucked.
That speech was a little long and repetitive. I will not lie to you. Not the best piece of writing, but I did enjoy him just sitting there like, you guys are fucking clowns. I also love the fact that he still managed to take out like a decent chunk of them before they managed to take it. He's a machine.
Like yeah,
and
like,
he's out
like,
again now.
Yeah, like yeah, the writing of it was a bit clunky, but I think just the idea of it. Like I think they just got ahead because with all the real world stuff of cops using the Punisher logo and just like oh yeah Punisher, and even now in their show they're blatantly saying no, he would kill you.
He would literally fucking hate you.
Never meet your heroes, kid. They're all dicks. Every last one of them.
Yeah, and you're right. He's out because the post-credit scene breaks the guy's arm to get out. We assume that he's not going to get out alone. Because that would be a dumbass move by him just to not free people at the same time. I suppose that does make
sense. I don't think I thought about that at the time.
He's going to team up with the Swordmaster.
Swordmaster. Yeah, swordsman.
Or the swordsman. Fucking whatever it is.
Yeah. And the rich people that are also in the cages as well.
I didn't actually, because I guess I think of Frank as being such a lone wolf. Woof.
Woof. He's a lone wolf.
He's a lone wolf. That I wouldn't put it past for him to just fucking leave.
Maybe.
But no, you're right. It makes more sense if he does break everybody else.
That's Frank's army.
Yeah, he's not joining up with Matt in any way, shape, or form. He's got his own army.
Which to fair, it doesn't have Cherry. Yeah. It doesn't have Cherry, so like it's already.
He must be fucked.
Yeah, he must be fucked. He doesn't got Cherry.
All right, I don't think I've got anything else. So, Katie, go.
Overall season, like Catholicism, low. Would have liked more. Hopefully, we'll get more in the next season. Love to see Matt back in a church in season 2. That would be huge for me. I think it would be very good. But I think that the things that I did very much like about this episode, one of those was Karen's little speech to Matt about how like he's all of the things that he thinks he is. He's both like I think the word she said was mercy and it was mercy and vengeance or something like that, or
yeah, something like that.
Something specific like that. But he and I thought that this episode managed to put into focus how much that he is very much a character of like intense contradiction. That's like innately, and that he is both like very mean and petty and vengeful, and but he's also extremely merciful, and he is kind, and he cares about people very, very much. He's not going to kill anybody, but he's going to commit huge and intense acts of violence.
Like
He's
you
a
won't die,
lawyer.
but you won't
You're gonna
feel
fucking
anything.
hurt.
Yeah, you're gonna fucking woof.
Because he's a boxer. He will. He's gonna beat down and his whole.
He's gonna beat.
I said beat down.
Yeah, I know. That's why I just said the beat bit.
I would have been on board and groaning more if I'd said beat it. you know.
He's gonna beat it.
Anyway,
Get
Let's not
it?
go
Ian,
there.
get it?
he's wrath and he's mercy and he's a lawyer and he's a vigilante. He's like all of these things all at the same time. And I thought that this episode, if it did some things poorly, I think it did that thing, at least for me, very well in showing that it's very important to Matt as a character that he doesn't ignore parts of himself, because when he does, that's when the things start, he starts cracking.
Yeah.
Which obviously is more fun for the rest of us watching. But it's, for him to be in the wholeness of himself, he needs to accept the parts of him that are extremely violent, and also recognize the parts of him that are really good.
I think the
Very,
season
very much
needed
so.
that.
I think, yeah, the season needed it very much so.
Episode rankings then?
God, I
Sure.
should have written that down, really, shouldn't I?
Episode rankings!
I've been tossing it between a 7 and 8 because whilst I really like the vibe of everything, and I think it is probably one of the better episodes of the season, there are still enough flaws, and in the wider context of the season of itself, I don't think it hits as hard as sort of like a bookend. Yeah, I think I'll give it benefit of the doubt. I'll go the 8, just because like I can see where they're going, and I like how they finally seem to be finally on track, especially like hopefully season 2, because they've got like the one creative vision this time instead of chopping and changing. However, I will also as a season 1 as a whole, I would still probably land on a 6, just because of how choppy it's been, mismatched, and just some choices. So yeah, episodes by itself 8, and then season 1 as a whole 6.
What did I give it last week? Or the week before last episode? Because I wasn't there, but I did write it in the notes. I think it was an 8. I think I gave it an 8 last week. And this one was good, but I do think episode 8 was better.
You did give it an 8.
If I could bump last one up to an 8.5, I'd give this one an 8. Just
Okay.
to kind of, because I do think that one was better, but I would be much more happy to push that one up rather than take the whole thing down. You know what I mean? Because I don't think it was. I don't think it was a 7. I think it was much better than that, but it wasn't quite as good as episode 8, which I do think is one of the better ones of the season. Are we doing an overall thing after as well?
Yeah, we can do. That's fine.
Fuck it.
Because I think if taking in context the entire season now and how far we've, how sort of far the pendulum has swung in both directions, I don't know if I'd go as far as a 6, but I think a 7 hits just right for me, where I'm like, it was good. Because the stuff that was good. But it only, there was some stinking,
There was some
stinking
shit.
stuff in there.
If I'm honest with myself, I would give this like a 6.5 with the pacing, but also I fucking just loved this. There's a couple of bits which I just freaking loved. I loved Frank going ham, groaning and killing people. It's like it's just a Frank move to just like scream at people whilst he's killing people. It's so good.
It's the yelling. The yelling is insane.
Yeah, and then Wilson Fisk ripping a man's jaw off. That's fucking cool. It's just fucking cool.
Yeah.
So like, if I'm going for the moments in this that I really enjoyed because it made me smile, I'd probably give this an 8.5 because of this, just for those moments. As a total episode, it's not an eight. But like the moments in this episode which made me smile, I'd give it an eight. As a whole season, I'm not gonna lie. I've been one of the most biggest detractors of this season, and I'm not gonna go away from that. It's like a six. It's teetering on a 5.5, but it's a six for me. It hasn't come together. It's a good setup for a second series, and a full season shouldn't just be a setup for a second
No,
series.
I'm absolutely with you there. Looking at you, Ahsoka season 1.
Whoa.
Boo.
Lily knows my opinions on
I know.
Ahsoka.
There was some really enjoyable moments in the season. I can't lie. It's just been a bit all over the place. The production of it, you can probably see why. I know we're not giving that excuse for a whole season of television, but you can see the inconsistencies throughout the series. And there's some really high moments, there's some really low moments, and there's some really meh moments. And
Some real
that's
cherry moments.
there's some real cherry moments. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I'm landing, like a six, sort of a meh season.
Yeah, I just really liked the front half of the season a lot. And I felt like it really crumbled kind of in near the second act. And then the last two episodes were like, oh, this is getting better again. But also some of this writing has gotten weird. I'm hoping it'll feel a bit more focused next season.
Because
And
I
that will
think
get some cool people in it.
like more cherry.
Yes.
More cherry. Obviously, what we want is just endless amounts more cherry screen time.
Yeah, I think if we weren't recording this stuff, I probably would have only watched it when everything was out. I think I would have probably dipped up to like episodes 2 or 3 and be like, I'll wait till it comes out and watch it all at once.
What a great, you've got a whole year to go back and watch all of the original Daredevil series.
It's too much. There's like what, 39 episodes, all like an hour long, plus all the other shit. It's too much.
Good. You don't have to watch all of them. You can probably just watch a recap of the Defenders online.
Just watch like a YouTube video essay, just like here's everything you know about the Defenders.
Kinda, yeah.
Pretty much. And then just watch the one of the hallway fighting scenes with them all in it, and that's it.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. I liked the Defenders. I honestly didn't think it was bad. It was just a bit underwhelming in places. I've got such an issue with Elektra as a character and the way that they use her in the show that I'm like,
What if she comes back?
I don't want her back.
How could you even say that?
And I don't mean that, the woman who plays her was brilliant, don't get me wrong. I just hated the way that they wrote her, and they've already killed her twice. They can't bring her back a third time.
Kill her thrice.
No.
3 times a charm.
Comedy comes in threes.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think if they managed to bring back Elektra and Foggy was still dead, I'd go insane.
They do it just to spite you.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be like, why? Why have you done this to me?
Elektra and Stick, they come back. Foggy
No.
stays dead. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
I couldn't bear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the many reasons why season 3 is the best season, because it doesn't have Elektra and it doesn't have Stick.
Okay, that is the end of Daredevil Born Again. And Daredevil Born Again watching now. Ah.
Thank Christ.
But there's loads more stuff got on the horizon. We've currently got the Watching Now series of The Last of Us, featuring our very own Lily, and Orn and Nick. That's 2 episodes in right now.
Yep.
And nothing traumatic's happened there yet.
Definitely not so traumatic I haven't started watching the season at all.
But other than that, we will see you on the flippity flop.
Oh, you're gonna stick with that, are you?
Yep, I'm gonna stay with that. If you can possibly afford it, join Couch Soup, become a member, rate our podcast on Apple and Spotify, and leave comments and likes and subscribes and all that YouTube stuff. And
Leave us a subscribes.
leave us a subscribe,
Subscribe.
and
Subscribes.
until next time, da, 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 bye.
God bless you and keep you.
That's fair.
Wait, I was going to make a point about the Freeport thing. Because I've been watching...
You were the one who tangent off it.
I know. You
Yeah.
have to understand my brain is a mess. I'm not blaming anybody. I just remembered that I had a point for bringing it up.
Go for it.
Point was, I saw the thing about the Freeport, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It feels very convenient for the whole plot and all that other stuff there, but that's fun. And then I went and took a break from watching ER to watch Leverage Redemption, which in the second season, they have a heist that happens at a Freeport, and they use it for the exact same reason as Fisk did. And I was like, this is weird. Because that was the season that came out like last year, so the fact that both of them came to me within the week was like, huh. You know when you learn a new word and you suddenly start seeing it everywhere? That's what it felt like.
Hello and welcome to Get Watching Now. It never fucking works because someone always laughs and tries
I
to-
love the. I just love the like amount of like effort that goes into it because I love it because I recognize it.
Just how
again.
you say hello every time. He doesn't look like he threw up.
Yeah. He's gone. He's gone.
Oh, I've lost him. Where did he go? I wasn't looking.
He's crippled from laughing.
Sorry, I threw up.
God damn it.